You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can make this possible.
I never asked you this here. Last week I did a commentary talking when Diddy did a video with Naomi Campbell saying that unless we get a number of things from the Democratic Party, from Joe Biden, he was going to hold the vote hostage. My response to that was, look, that all sounds great, but unless you have infrastructure, unless you are mobilizing people and organizing people, unless you are creating institutions, that's just all talk. And what I argued is that if you're able to say, look, my group has gone out and we put 20, 30, 40, 50,000 people on the rolls. What y'all are doing, the Poor People's Campaign, when you're able to sit here and say, this is what we've done in these states, organized, how many rallies, how many home deals, how many trainings, that to me gets the attention of a candidate more than simply doing a video with a supermodel. Infrastructure has to follow when you make those sort of threats.
If you're going to fight structural racism and structural poverty, you have to have an infrastructure to fight the structure. That is why the Poor People's Campaign was built from the bottom up, not just from the top down. We didn't just announce the campaign. 45 coordinating committees in 45 states plus the District of Columbia. Every one of those coordinating committees is registering voters in poor and low wealth communities. We are connecting 30,000 people directly to our Poor People's Campaign in each state. That'll be over 1.2 million people. We have now a coalition that has a reach of a mailing list and an emailing list and a social media list of over 50 million people. If you add up all of the people that are connected to this, it is about building power and shifting the narrative. Some people, Roland, just want to shift the narrative. You can't just shift the narrative. You have to build power. And you also have to know what power is there to be built. So we do this empirically. We don't just get up and say we're doing it. We went to a group of sociologists and scholars and people who do demographics and said, tell us what the reality is. In poor people, what's the voting power? You know, we found out, for instance, Roland, in the South, there were 25 million poor and low wealth people that were not reached, not touched, not moved in the South. You add up all the poor people that can vote. It's 25 million more than the margin of victory that Trump had in the South. You think about that. You start looking at these numbers. Trump wins by 100,000 people, for instance, 150,000 people in North Carolina. The number of poor and low wealth people that didn't vote, just black, for instance, is 3 or 4 times that number. I could give you all the numbers. We've got enough data system. So what we're doing is trying to look deeply, shifting the narrative, but building the structure in order to build power. You have to do those. You have to do those things. Otherwise, you're not playing, well, I don't want to call it playing, but you're not really engaged in the fight that we're in. And that's what extremists and Republicans have been very good at. They go all the way down to the one vote. They know they don't look to win by big margins. They just want to win. And the thing they fear the most is for black poor and low wealth people, white poor and low wealth people, Latino poor and low wealth people, gay poor and low wealth people, Asian, Native, to come together and understand their political power if they move around an agenda. And that's what we're trying to do.
And the last point, and what I keep also saying, it's one thing to say something before the election. It's one thing to make a demand of a candidate while they are running. That means nothing if you then don't have the infrastructure and the plan of action to make them follow through after they win.
That's exactly right. You said it. It's the truth. And that's why we call the Poor People's, if you notice the word, it's not a march. It's not a rally. It's a Poor People Mass Assembly March on Washington, but the Poor People's Campaign, National Call for a Moral Revival. Notice campaign. It doesn't stop. That we have things along the way, but we're not talking about just being engaged from now to November, then going away. Oh, no. We're building power right in the backyards of all of the senators, all the legislators, all the governors, where they can be touched, and we will continue to move in that vein. And I would say that even to the members, just to take an aside, the members of the Black Caucus in the United States Congress, if black people, for instance, are the backbone of the Democratic Party. And everybody comes to us to get endorsements. And our people are dying in astronomical ways and in percentages higher than anybody else. Then they must, at this point, before the election, put their foot down and say, not another bill comes through this Congress that does not address those issues of what our people need. Because if you address those issues, you're going to help poor white people as well. But not another bill can come through the United States House, at least where we have a majority.
Right.
And if the House cannot do that, I know what McConnell's doing. I know what Republicans are doing. But I'm talking about the House, where Democrats are in control. If they can't do the things we need in a bill, whether McConnell cuts it up or not, if they can't pass the free health care and the living wages and the guaranteed sick leave and so forth and so on, then I have a question, Roland, and that is, do Democrats value black life? Do Democrats value poor life? Do Democrats really value the life of those poor white folk up in the mountains or those poor black folk down in Mississippi and the Delta, who we now stop calling service workers and we call them essential workers? This is, as my grandma, you know, I'm a country preacher, Roland. My granddad used to say, you got the fish or cut bait now, baby. This is real.
Well, great point. When I spoke to the Maryland Black Caucus, when we were trying to get that money for HBCUs, of course, they should have gotten $1 billion. They initially, Governor O'Malley, Democrat, offered $100 million. Then when Larry Hogan, Republican, he offered $200 million. And they were like, no, we need bare minimum $500 million. Well, we had the rally of the Black Caucus. This is exactly what I told the Black Caucus. I told the chair, I said, in point blank, I said, y'all are the largest Black caucus out of any state in the country. Y'all should tell the Democratic Party no bill will be considered unless we fund HBCUs. Guess what happened?
That's right.
That bill passed, and those 4 HBCUs in Maryland getting that $577 million. That's how you use your collective power as a caucus.
Right. And if you can't do it now, when people are dying, now, and that's not to knock some things that have been done. But we don't need folks to say, but we did this in the first bill. Look, in all of the bills that have been passed, no guaranteed health care, even to folk who are working essential workers. They say testing, but you get testing, can't get health care. That doesn't help. Many people won't get tested. No living wage, no health care, no guarantee of rent forgiveness. Right now, the bill says if you don't have to pay rent for 3 months, but in the 4th month, you have to pay all 4 months. There's not even a moratorium on cutting off people's water and utilities. And our people are dying, man, are dying. We can't have that. This is a point where you have to say, okay, you've said we are the backbone. You've said we are this. Everybody wants our endorsement. Well, okay, now it's time to ante up. And the House ought to make McConnell walk the political plank. In other words, put a bill in front of him that makes him have to stand before the American people, poor whites, poor blacks, low-income folk, and say, I'm going to vote against all these essential workers having health care. I'm going to vote against them having the money they need. I'm going to vote against them not being able to be kicked out of their home. Make him do it, because what will happen then? If we can go, Roland, to the polls in November, this is the thing people haven't thought about. A lot of people haven't. You and I have talked about it. If folk have to go to the polls and we can't do mail-in ballots, and Trump and them are going to fight that, we're going to be asking people to vote and risk their lives. So people need to know who was willing to fight for their lives now. Because we're going to be asking people to go stand in the line, not be able to do social distancing, and vote. That's literally, in the age of COVID, that will be a life-death situation. I believe people will be willing to do that to change this country around, just like people are willing to go to war and change this country around. But they have to know, if I do that, I'm fighting for something, and I need to see who's fighting for me right now. And the only way they can see that is if legislation is passed that is a real rescue bill in the House, and we need that to happen, and we need it to happen now.
Reverend Dr. William J. Barber, we certainly appreciate it. Thanks a lot. People go to the Poor People's Campaign website, follow them on social media as well, Repairs of the Breach. They're doing the work, not just talking the talk. Reverend Barber, thanks a lot.
God bless.
Every single night, we've got some of the top black experts. You're not going to see them on cable news or broadcast news, because you swear black people aren't experts when it comes to this health crisis. That's why we have this show and why we do what we do every day on Roland Martin Unfiltered. Joining us right now is retired General Russell Honore, the nation's first black Surgeon General, Dr. Joycelyn Elders.
John Hope Bryant, he is the founder of Operation Hope.
Senator Kamala Harris of California, Dr. Cedrina Calder, retired General Lloyd Austin, Congresswoman Karen Bass, Commissioner Omari Hardick, Bureau President in Brooklyn, Eric Adams, Dr. Joseph Graves, America's Wealth Coach, Deborah Owens, Dr. Corey Abear, Patal Saul, Howard University student, Pastor Jamal Bryant, Dr. Christy McDowell, Benja Ajilore, senior economist at the Center for American Progress, Gilda Daniels, again, author of the book, The Crisis of Voter Suppression in America. 4 stars, General Kip Ward. Dr. Oliver Brooks is president of the National Medical Association, president of the American Medical Association, Dr. Patrice Harris. Joby Benjamin,
Dr. Alexia Gaffney, infectious disease specialist. Dr. Georges Benjamin, executive director of the American Public Health Association.
Malcolm Nance, family medicine physician, Dr. Jen Caudle. Dr. Tashaka Cunningham, a molecular biologist, Kat Stafford. She's a national race and ethnicity reporter for the Associated Press. Dr. Wayne A.I. Frederick, who is the president of Howard University. Congresswoman Yvette Clarke from the state of New York.
William Spriggs,
AFL-CIO economist. Andrea James, executive director of the National Council for Incarcerated and Formerly Incarcerated Women and Girls. All right, let's go to Capitol Hill. Congressman Gregory Meeks, Congresswoman Eddie British Johnson of Texas, Congresswoman Barber Lee, Minnesota Senator Amy Klobuchar, mental health clinician Jamie Singletary, Prince George's County State's Attorney Aisha Brayboy, as well as Dylan Hayrie, ACLU Justice Division strategist. Dr. Cindy Duke, she is a virologist. Principal Steve Perry of Capitol Prep. Health and wellness specialist Dr. Yolandra Hancock. Desmond Meade, president of the Florida Rights Restoration Coalition. Cliff Albright, who is the co-founder of Black Voters Matter. Michael Harriet with The Root. Mina McWhorter, founder of Love by the Hand. Dr. Julianne Malvo, economist, president, Emerita Bennett College. Coroner Michael Fowler is a mayor of Atlanta. Keisha Lance Bottoms, mental health therapist Suzette Clark. Justin Gibney, attorney and political strategist, and Bishop Vincent Matthews Jr. Dr. Suzette McKinney, CEO and executive director of the Illinois Medical District. Dr. Leon Madugal, president-elect of the National Medical Association. Jana Bailey, mayor of Moss Point, Mississippi. Mario King.
We're going to keep driving this thing to make sure our people are fully aware, safe, protected from coronavirus. You're getting the top medical experts, the top business experts, top political experts, top religious experts, because that's why we do what we do. Unapologetically and unfiltered. Ain't nobody else in the black media space doing what we do. Watch Roland Martin Unfiltered daily at 6 p.m. Eastern on YouTube, Facebook, or Periscope, or go to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com.
Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered Daily Digital Show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each or the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com.